Welcome to Hungry Dads, your guided tour through the delicate and often overwhelming balancing act between food indulgences and social acceptance. And now, as always, here are your hosts, Rod Budget and Hugh Gallen.
Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Hungry Dads. I'm Rod Budget.
I'm Hugh Gallen.
And tonight we're going to start with Hugh giving us some first impressions on the Lay's Do Us a Flavor finalists from 2015. I haven't been able to find any of the flavors down here in Florida. We're laggards down here. Everything's slow to get to us. But up in the big city, Hugh has, I believe, sampled 3 of the 4 flavors. Is that correct?
That's correct. Mrs. Gallen has secured 3 of the 4 flavors for me, which I really appreciate. Last year, she also was the benefactor of the flavor. She is out there on alert, scouring the stores. She actually found it at a local deli. It wasn't at a supermarket or a big box store, just our local deli. She found the New York Reuben, the biscuits and gravy flavored. And then later at a different location, she found the Greek Town Gyro flavor. I mean, I think once we both try both, and they'll make it to Florida eventually, Rod, I'll reserve my full review for when we have chance to speak and compare. But I will say broadly about all of them, it is surprising and a little spooky at how good they're getting at mimicking the flavor on a chip. A Reuben is arguably a fairly complicated blend of flavors, and they've done it. I mean, I would have to say, when I bite into the Reuben chip, the first thing I taste is rye bread, then I taste something kind of salty, and then I taste pickle, and I think that's what you'd get out of a Reuben.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, they get it. I mean, the only thing I can say is I kind of wish I'd have had the opportunity to taste them without that power of suggestion. I'm not sure I would guess it from nothing, but knowing that it's a Reuben, it's unquestionable the flavors you're getting. I'll say the same thing about the Greek Town Gyro. There's a cucumber sauce that always comes on a gyro. It's unmistakable as that. And then again, you get the salt, kind of the meat flavor. It's all a little saltier than these things would be, but they're chips. The tastiest of the 3 was the biscuits and gravy. As I predicted last episode, it tastes very much like a salt and pepper chip, but to my surprise, there is an unmistakable taste of biscuit in there. Smell, a whiff of biscuit.
Pleasant waft of biscuit.
It's so on point, it's almost unsettling. It makes me question all the food I'm eating that's processed, because it wouldn't be that hard to take, shredded up cardboard, mold it in the shape of a biscuits and gravy, and then freeze it and have me microwave it, and it would taste like biscuits and gravy.
Wow. Yeah, I think we both have to eat a little bit of crow on this one, because I think I made the statement that as the contest goes on, it's going to get harder to have distinct flavors, and everything's going to kind of start somewhat tasting the same, but it sounds like they've done an amazing job.
Yeah, and with them being so successful, then I have to wonder, and it would make sense, but it's nothing we ever considered when we were making our submissions, is how capable are they of making the flavor? So when they're doing their suggestions, one of the considerations has to be, well, we have access to this flavor, we've experimented with this flavor, we think we can replicate this, that, or the other. It's not an actual criteria in the rules, as I remember, but it has to be something they consider, and it would make sense that the reason they picked some of these is because they had confidence that they could accurately recreate it, and they definitely did.
Here's my main question, Hugh, and you can hopefully help me out since you've tried 3 of the 4 flavors. Will any of these ever break through and become kind of a mainstream chip, a la sour cream and onion, or even, a cheddar flavor? Or are these destined to be kind of gimmicks that get popular for 3 or 4 months and then kind of fade away?
I think because they're so precise on the flavor they're reaching, that they are destined to be a part-time gimmick. Compare that to some of the other flavors they've done in the past. Sriracha is a more general flavor. Even chicken and waffles, which I was a big fan of, it tasted as much as chicken and waffles as anything. The point was it was salty and sweet in the same. It's the vagueness of flavor is what made it seem like it could start to become a mainstream flavor. This is so particular in its flavor that, again, you're going to alienate anyone who doesn't like that actual thing. I don't know, for comparison's sake, I can't say I've ever had sour cream and onion. Have you ever had an onion and dipped it in sour cream and eaten it? I think few of us have, but we all like sour cream and onion chips.
Maybe we should.
You know what? It's probably worth trying.
Hungry Dads. So we've talked a lot on the podcast about the social aspects of eating and eating around friends and family quite a bit, but we haven't really touched on, or certainly haven't done a deep dive on, eating at the workplace. And I'm talking specifically about eating in an office environment. I mean, I know there are other professions out there, construction or anybody working outside or teachers. They kind of have their own niche lunch situations, but I'd say there's a general office worker mentality out there of people who are eating lunch every day at a pretty set time, whether it be at their desk or running out to get something quickly, or even going to a restaurant and having a business lunch or business dinner. Or sometimes, you're even eating in a meeting around other people sitting around a table, which I personally hate. I wanted to touch on kind of each of those 4 aspects of eating in an office environment. Before I get started, Hugh, do you have any experience eating in an office? Do you have any thoughts in general before we get into some more specifics?
Yeah, when it comes to office eating, I do work in an office environment. I've worked in a few different offices in my life, and I've found each one to have a unique characteristic to it. Maybe part of it had to do with my age. Maybe part of it had to do with the industry. Maybe part of it had to do with just the makeup of the office itself. In my younger working days, lunch was a very social occasion that I look forward to with coworkers. Rod Budget, you and I used to work together, and I will say, heading out to lunch with you and other cohorts was a good part of the day.
Why don't you tell your Arby's story?
We'd make a group decision on where to go, and there was usually a little bit of negotiation that went on.
We're in the Village in New York City, mind you.
Lots of great options.
We don't have a lot of money, so
yeah. We're working in our first jobs out of college, but we are in Manhattan, and we would diversify, but we would end up on relative occasion at a McDonald's or at an Arby's. And I remember going to Arby's with myself and with you and with our coworker. I'll just call him Dave. And I remember going to Arby's, and at the time, Arby's offered what they called the Market Fresh sandwich, and it was a turkey. It was like a turkey version, a ham version, and instead of on a bun, it came on bread and with lettuce, and it was perceived as the fresh sandwich. And we went to Arby's, and I ordered the Market Fresh sandwich, probably because it was being advertised, but also because it just seemed good. Dave pretty much just dug into me. We're at Arby's, man. You get the roast beef at Arby's. Why would you order the Market Fresh sandwich? And then he proceeded to call me Market Fresh for like a week in the office. And
earned a nickname.
I earned the nickname Market Fresh. And I don't know. I think I had to go to Arby's and order roast beef in order to remove the name. Now, I think as we learned, I might have been making the right call with that Market Fresh sandwich.
It is fresh. It is from a market, I think. Those are 2 things that may not be true of the roast beef, actually. So at that time, it was a nice social occasion. My current work eating situation is actually a little bit weird, maybe. I have a strategy that I'll share with you and with our listeners, and I don't know if it's going to land with anyone or not. And this is what I actually do for lunches. I intentionally pack an exceedingly healthy lunch, mostly just vegetables, fruits and vegetables. Carrots, celery sticks, and fruit. The reason I do this, as you know from this podcast, I am not shy about enjoying snacks and junk food of all types. But by quarantining myself in the office with healthy foods, it's one of the only ways I'll actually eat these things. I've gone through the trouble of preparing it. It's there at my desk. I don't want to go out and spend money. Sometimes I can't really get out. And at a certain point, I get hungry enough where I'll even eat celery sticks, carrot sticks, apples. I'll even eat this stuff because I'm so hungry. It's not to say I don't have the occasion where I do grab a snack out or, where we go out to lunch or something. But as a general rule, I bring those things every day. And I get hungry enough where I'll tend to eat it. Whereas at home, I will never eat those things because there's always something more delicious. Or if I'm commuting or if I'm, on the go, there's no way I'm going to buy an apple at the store and eat it on my way home. Well, I will say that I don't really employ your healthy strategy. Especially when I was still in New York, I would run out and get something and come back to my desk pretty much every day. But even after moving to Florida, I would still go out and, 80% of the time bring stuff back to my desk because, as you said, I think as I aged, it stopped becoming so much of a social thing. When you're young, I feel like everybody's kind of in the same boat. You're not making a lot of money. You all kind of start at the same time. It's easier to kind of go out and grab some grub and, chow down. When you're older and maybe you're supervising people and you're a little bit more of an authority figure, you kind of have to not go to McDonald's and pig out on 5 Big Macs. You have to have some respect for yourself.
Yeah, Jim Gaffigan has that great joke where he's like, you come back to work with McDonald's and everyone looks at you like, you're drunk. He's like, you're going to eat that? And I remember actually getting, you and I would bring back McDonald's and we'd get a whole talking to from anyone. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you eat that. And it was, you could just as easily come back with a bottle of scotch and gotten less of a head case.
Yeah, let's talk about observers or being an observer, because that's a big deal when people bring food into the office. There's inevitably someone, and sometimes I'm this person, if someone else brings something that looks interesting or delicious, or if frankly I'm just trying to make conversation, if I pass them. Oh wow, that looks great. Where'd you get that? Oh man, I wish I had that. Where really, I mean, when you say that to somebody and they're eating a giant burger or a cheesesteak or 5 slices of pizza, they're just kind of saying, wow, you're picking out. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing. And 80% of the time, I'm the one who's picking out. And especially with, like, younger females I work with, I'm the guy who, like, they come up to me and say, whoa, that looks amazing. When really they're just saying, I can't believe you're eating that.
Yeah. It's funny that you tend to be the recipient of that, because I fully acknowledge it's actually a peeve of mine, but I will actually sometimes be the deliverer of that.
Well, you're eating carrots all the time.
Well, exactly. Number one, I'm strapping myself with healthy food. Number two, I'm trying to make conversation. And one thing I like to converse about is food. So I will do exactly that which I hate, which is kind of roll up on someone, look over their shoulder and be like, hey, what's that? Wow, that looks good. Where'd you get that? Oh man, good for you. Good call. And after I do it, I'm like, oh, you know what? That might have been a little annoying to this person. Like, they're just trying to enjoy their food. And I know if I'm eating something and it gets called out, I feel a little self-conscious about it. In fact, because I so rarely get a meal, and I